My final little treat for the kids, and this is an all-time favourite of mine, is donuts. Yeah, easy recipe. You learn this baby, it'll set you up well. George cooks the little Greek donuts. Philip, what are they called, or Peter?
Loukoumades.
Loukoumades. This leaves loukoumades for dead.
Yeah. Ooh.
No, there's two. I love loukoumades, but I love donuts. Right. Everybody thinks of a donut as being, quite a heavy, little fried ball of dough. And traditionally, if you look at a recipe, what you do is you make a bread dough, essentially, a sweet bread dough. You ball it up, you let it proof, and then you deep fry that and pipe them. This is more like a batter. It's a very light and very loose recipe. So I've got 440 of milk, and what I want to do is warm that up until it's just tepid. That means when I put my finger into it, it sounds pretty gruesome, but it's blood temperature. And the reason it's important that it's blood temperature is because I'm going to put yeast into it, and the yeast needs to activate, and yeast as a living organism thrives in that sort of ambient sort of temperature, If it gets too hot, it dies. If it's too cold, it's dormant. But this is a commercial brewer's yeast. It's very efficient. What it does is it multiplies and it releases carbon dioxide, which is the aeration in bread, okay? I'm going to put butter into that, and what we've got to do is just melt that together. There's 440 of milk and 100 grams of butter. Now, that amount of butter is variable. If you're scared about putting that amount in, you don't need to. In fact, if you left it out, it wouldn't make an enormous amount of difference. It's just slightly different mouthfeel, and the butter adds a little bit of richness. So we've got 75 grams of caster sugar, and then 4 eggs. And what that does is it gives us a lovely, energy-packed soup to then dissolve the yeast into. The yeast is going to love that. It's going to feed on it, and it's going to go crazy, and it's going to do exactly what we want it to do, which is to prove, to multiply, to release carbon dioxide and aerate our dough. Then what we do is just pour a little bit onto the yeast and just, I use my fingers. You can whisk it in together, but what I'm doing is I'm just making it into a lovely yeasty little soup, and then I pour that back into the body of the milk and the eggs. I've got 20 grams of fresh yeast. If you're using packet yeast, if you're using a dried yeast, it's half that. So you can see that's nice and smooth, all right? And then I put that back into the body of the milk. Right, and then all we've got to do is we're going to make a well in the middle of the flour, 600 grams of flour. And what we're basically making, and this is where this is very different to the sort of standard donut recipe that you'll find in a book, is this is more like a batter. All right? And that's what is going to make it very light, okay? So we've got a lovely, soft dough. Now what we're going to do is allow that to proof. Cover it with cling film, cover it with cloth, put it in a nice little warm spot. Okay. So this is our proved batter, okay? Because it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to go through its proof. So we're looking for a nice, soft consistency. All right, it's got to be nice and light. And I've got the oil over here at 170 degrees, so it needs to sit 165, 170 degrees. And we can use a spoon to do this, just pop little spoonfuls of batter in. But what I'm going to do is use my hand. And all I'm doing is I'm working the dough in my fingers and then popping off like a little nugget into the oil, all right? Once you get into a little routine, you can actually do quite a few at once. So I've got normal vegetable oil in here. You don't want anything too strongly flavoured.
What's the cooking time for those donuts,
They'll take about 3 or 4 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes?
You need to give them long enough so that they're going to cook right in the middle. The pleasure of cooking them, actually, is that every batch you have to...
Try one.
You got to try one. It's a bummer. Okay, so while they're cooking, I've just got a bit of caster sugar. What I'm going to make is a bit of lavender sugar. So I just pick the lavender flowers from fresh lavender, which is absolutely gorgeous. But I'm just going to rub those flowers through the sugar so I get a little lavender sugar coating the donut. So what's going to be a really fairly simple sort of pastry shop type dessert, just goes up a notch. They look all right, don't they? And then the idea is to take the hot donuts. Oh, they look good, don't they? And just put them through the sugar. And what you're looking for when you open it, hopefully these are going to be cooked, is just like that little steamy centre. So all we've got to do now is just pop some jam in and then they're good to go. But before we do that, I just need a little snack. George! Okay, so let's pop a little bit of jam in, put it in a piping bag, and then make a hole in the donut. And then put plenty of jam in.
Look at that. It just looks really good.
So all I need now is some clotted cream, warm donuts, and a volunteer. Oh, Georgie. Philip and Peter, come on.
Oh, we can have a Greek moment. Huh? Here, let me come on their side. Oh.
Dip it in the clotted cream, a little bit of jam.
But the question is, are they better than our yayas or ukumadas?
Oh,
These are really good.
All over me.
The jam's not authentic Greek, but lavender sugar is a brilliant idea.
They're nice, light, they just...
beautiful.
enough to make you want to have another one. And
George,
another one.
we
and
can't.
another one.
Philip,
Okay.
what do you think?
Oh, they're amazing. I reckon I could eat the whole bowl.
Great.
Can I take them with me?
Off you go.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Gary.
Enjoy. So here are my top tips for making the perfect donut. Number one, don't follow those old recipes with a heavy dough that you've got to roll and prove. Make a batter, a thick batter that will prove up into a lovely light consistency that you pop into the oil and end up with a gorgeous fluffy donut. Second tip, the cooking temperature. About 165 degrees to 170 degrees. It'll give time for the donut to colour lightly and to cook for long enough so that it's not raw in the middle, and that's super important. So they are my kids' party ideas, and pretty good for adults too.